People start asking me, I'm just going to answer with 2.
It's an innovative policy.
Search bar, I want you to hit. Oh, damn. Okay. Yes, I agree. Yeah, there's a thing called over there. Step out. Ray's Hellburger.
So good. Oh my god.
Is it near the hotel?
Yeah, come walk you out.
Can I see the app? Sorry, I need the 30 seconds arguments in this thing.
Do you know where you're up to this summer?
Say that again?
Do you know where you're up to this summer?
A couple things. Probably gonna I'm working at NSC. And then I'm gonna work at the theory track at BBI. You know what that is?
Yeah, just a week there.
It's 3 weeks, but it's only a 1 week program. I think it's just new students every week.
You're going to be back at UNT or?
No, unfortunately. Then I got a job at the Center for Population Economics at the University of Chicago. So I'll do that like abroad or like remotely when I'm at camp. I basically talked to my boss and was like, I'm probably not going to be able to do very high work when I'm during this like 5-week block, and he was like, that's fine. I mean, but then when I go back, it'll be like full time. I think we do interesting things in theory. My role in those interesting things will probably be quite diminished.
Who are you doing it with?
Well, the head of the Center for Population Economics is Gary Becker.
Oh, it's like from the Posner back.
Yeah, exactly. But the odds that I ever speak to him are probably pretty low.
Right.
Alright. So, the order is
Next process, I'll tell you about the project that I'm actually on.
13. The order is NC AC. Okay.
NCAC, you said?
Yeah. Actually, I kind of lied. It's going to be AC standard, NCAC. Sorry about that.
Is that what you teach the kids? That's what Woods did too.
Alright.
Try to teach them something every once in a while.
Everyone ready? The counter standards protection of rights. In the context of policymaking, it does not make sense to say with respect to every individual's rights, since that kind of standards only concerned with citizen to citizen relation, caste unseen rights. Unlike individuals, governments always necessarily face a choice between among possible policy regulating third-party governments and the misagreeing prohibition or prohibition would have been explicitly implicitly authorized private action, not meaning to do anything refusing to act more to the distinction between authorized and unauthorized. Authorized private action because it's obscure when the government forms of private action pursues a set of policy interests and are not adequately fully discouraged. It also knows it is a threshold deontologist, knows it rights. Hence, an argument for psychic trade structure that consists largely an argument against an insane maximization structure is inconclusive, but the alternative not exhaustive. The issue of whether psychic trade views can be put in the form of goal without psychic trade views is a tricky one. The question of whether psychic trades are absolute or whether they may be violent or catastrophic moral horror, if the latter with the resulting structure might look like is one I hope to largely avoid, which means that if I impact arguments talk about way it leads to extinction, that would be come prior to the 1AC standard, but also in situations of lifetime conflict, even a strict intelligence state sacrificing the individuals not deny the unconditional value of rational beings, Comiskey writes. If I sacrifice some for the sake of other rational beings and not deny the unconditional value of rational beings, person may have the unconditional link of value, the transcending market value of his rational beings, person of fundamental quality dictates sometimes give way for the sake of other forming the ends of those thoughts worth you may never fortune another person cost in order to benefit others. One focus on the equal value of all rational beings, equal consideration dictates one may sacrifice some to save many. This also answers the three analytic blinks at the bottom of 1AC. My argument is not intuition based, rather my argument is what is the obligation of the government more from a practical reason structure or a Kantian deontological structure. It would still result in we would use utilitarianism. Negative case. We are on the brink of ecological destruction. The app tips the balance in favor of extinction. Spock and 10. The United States is deeply complicit in the more serious trends of the global environment. Estimated 90% of large predator fishing gone, 75% of marine fishery now fish capacity. The planet does not see the fast of extinction 65 million years. Aquatic habitats are being devastated. We treat it as most of the issues we are toothless treaties. All we have to do is destroy the planet. Is keep doing exactly what we're doing. The link is that economic sanctions, our current measures are preventing overfishing are insufficient. They have no teeth to them. Tyler writes. RFMO enforcement power. The force nature of RMFO enforcement powers reveal the fact that additional compliance mechanisms need to be added to ensure protect endangered fisheries. What absent is a measure that truly goes to the core of the problem. The link sanctions would induce massive compliance and saw back the current enforcement problems. Tyler writes. Trade sanctions would receive enormous compliance and enforcement difficulty have plagued RMFOs and fisheries. RMFOs would be able to strike hard action and blow to non-compliant states. The nation's government is much more likely to respond to the economic effects begin to reverberate only catch one vessel season. Its crew find trade sanctions reduce the burden on patrolling waters and transfer enforcement power to the compliance more easily controllable mechanism. The U.S. has been success in the threat of sanctions for the lack of protection of endangered species. Berger writes. There have been at least 20 instances of Pele certification since the enactment of law. The mere consideration of trade measures help to achieve the intended conservation of the goal of the United States. The remote threat of proposed certification to achieve the intended conservation result of lawsuit Pele can be effective, but the possibility of sanctions is real. Certification persuaded Japan and the Soviet Union to comply with the International Whaling Commission. The impact is environmental destruction, which has the potential to lead to extinction. Diner writes. Species extirpation could affect directly useful species negatively. The loss of species affects another species dependent on it by causing widespread extinction. Humans have artificially simplified many ecosystems. Biological simplicity increases so does the risk of ecosystem failure. Each new animal and planet extinction cause total ecosystem collapse, and human extinction mankind may be edging closer to the abyss. AC. Just so the standards made it clear, I will specifically respond to the analytical blips that he has made. The first is that I don't defend intuitionism. That's Kaczynski evidence. The second response is it is not. Just because we can't predict the ends in every instance does not mean that we ought not use a utilitarian calculus. My argument is we should protect the most amount of life. We obviously can't make those kind of decisions when it comes to foreign policy tools, and we recognize that the massive amounts of damage would occur. And the third argument is that it's infinitely regressive because it doesn't maximize happiness. My argument is not maximize happiness. My argument is increase life. Iran is not only interested in solely nuclear power, they test materials to trigger a nuclear explosion. Phillips and 4-2. Western intelligence agency uncovered Iranian documents indicating the scientists had tested a neutron initiator. Neutron initiator has no peaceful application. This directly discovered contradicts the U.S. intelligence community position that Iran halted nuclear weapons work in 2003. And the United States should not solely rely on the international community to stop Iran. Phillips and 4-2. The U.S. cannot afford to rely solely on the UN Security Council to impose sanctions on Iran. Russia and China repeatedly weakened, delayed any action there. Washington pushed for the strongest possible sanctions to add to the Security Council to press its allies to impose even stronger sanctions outside the UN, such as freezing foreign investment, banning gasoline exports, banning the travel, and raising the price the regime must pay to continue its nuclear programs. Phillips, author, concludes negative. He says that the only possible way of stopping Iran from getting nuclear weapons is by imposing quick, strong energy sanctions. This means going around the UN. Phillips and 4-2. The only chance of halting Iran's nuclear weapon program short of the war is to quickly impose the strongest possible sanctions on Iran. There's required going outside the UN Security Council. Well, Houses of Congress passed Iran sanction legislation with the present bipartisan support. The House voted to pass the Iran Refined Petroleum Sanctions Act. The Senate passed legislation which would impose similar penalties on companies that export gas and other refined petroleum acts. And oil companies are leaving Iran because of the economic sanction. Business Week 324. Lukoil, the Russian oil producer, and those overseas assets made it work gold because of the threat of U.S. sanctions, while saying that Lukoil took a $63 million impairment loss because of the threat of economic sanctions. The Moscow-based oil producer is vulnerable to sanctions and owns a network of U.S. filling stations with Conoco-based Phillips. And he says the Iranians blame the U.S., but no, they don't. Double wits into February 10th. Energy sanctions designed to weaken the Revolutionary Guard to feed the flames of discontent. The regime is despised by many Iranians not only for its human rights abuse, but also because of the disastrous state of the economy. Despite the regime's attempt to blame sanction policy of the U.S. for these economic problems, most Iranians put the blame squarely on their leaders. In 2008, 60 Iranian economists criticized Ahmadinejad for its tension-inducing foreign policy. Maj wrote that Ahmadinejad's promises to alleviate Iran's economic woes were no longer believed. And the style of his foreign policy is viewed as having both exacerbated the economic crunch and contributed to the sense of insecurity, even if it defended the nation's rights. North Korea. Sanctions against North Korea are effective. Sanctions are working now. North Korea is running out of food and must disarm to get aid.